you guys, thank you for joining me. If you don't know me, my name is Jill and I'm the homeschool mom to a fourth grader. I just finished a video showing you what we completed in the fourth grade because we're nearing our end. And I wanted to show you on paper all of the classes that we had done because some of you had wondered how we got it all in, how we fit it all in. And now in this video, I'd like to show you what our schedule had looked like and then the fifth grade view of next year and what it's going to look like and why. The main reason why I'm changing it visually is because we already have it in our head. She and I, Morgan and I, know what we're doing, and I don't need to kind of piecemeal it all apart because we know it. But Morgan wants to have more autonomy and more independence and more say over her homeschool, which I think is a great idea. And she'd like me to be her mentor, role model, coach rather than teacher. So with that, our schedule is going to look a little bit more different. And she'll be able to pick and choose, have options throughout the morning, ultimately ending at the end of the week with her completing everything. So let's see what we have. This is fourth grade, and this is how I want to simplify it next year. Doesn't that look so much nicer? It's so much easier. Let's go through it. You'll notice right off the bat that I don't have any times. And that's because time doesn't matter. Morgan and I are naturally early birds. We wake up before the crack of dawn, before the rooster crows, we are up and out of bed. And so some mornings she will already have her reading done because when she wakes up in the morning, we come in here in the study and I keep the lights nice and low and I put her in the comfy chair and give her a blanket and a cup of tea and she'll just pick up her book and read. When she's ready to get up and going, we do breakfast and then take the dog for a big, huge walk. We also do early gym here and get some exercise in aside from the walk. The walk is not considered our PE. It's our mental PE. It's our time to catch up with each other, to talk quietly before school starts. And it's our time sometimes to just be quiet together. And I think that would be a form of walking meditation where I want to instill in Morgan that getting up, getting out of bed, reading a little bit, and then going outside for a walk, even before you go to work when you're an adult, is a wonderful practice to keep. A lot of this, actually everything here is everything that Morgan's capable of doing on her own and has asked to specifically do it on her own. If she has any questions, she will come and get me. I don't hover here and I don't sit with her for this. I am generally getting myself ready for the day here while she does her journaling and her fix-it grammar and her poetry and her spelling and vocab on her own. In fact, now she has even brought math, you see, into here, and she has been doing her own math on her own. I purposefully stay out of her way and I purposefully am not sitting at the table while she's working here. She does have, like, we have nice little incense going and we still have kind of the lights low. We've got a hot cup of tea and I put some real smooth jazz on in the background and then she just has at school. She has at it, she does it herself. Then around here is when I come into the dining room where we do our work and help her start with prepping for her tutor. She has a tutor twice a week now. Her French tutor from Alliance Française is usually Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. We keep it real flexible to allow for our tutor to do other things for her job. We usually set it up a week or a couple of days to a week in advance of when the next ones are, but it's usually Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And so here Morgan does Duolingo to warm up. She does Duolingo every day. She should. I don't have it listed here. It's another thing that will likely go up here because that's something she just logs in and does really quickly. And then she does her study and her French tutor prep. This is really important because Morgan does still, this is an uphill learning curve still and will be for quite some time. And so she needs a lot of assistance here and I am here to talk to her and have conversations with her. And then by then she's quite tired. So we have quiet study. She'll have reading interests or she has a lot of things that she's been liking to build. She built a book nook. She does Legos and all sorts of creative things. And I don't interrupt her for this. In fact, there's no time set here. She usually regulates herself and say, well, I think maybe I'll come back in 50 minutes or I'll come back in an hour. That doesn't bother me. And I rarely go and get her. If I go and get her, it's usually because I need to prep her to get her online for her French tutor. And so then we have history here and we only do history together for one of the days. And that is where I read usually 2 chapters of History of the World. And then from there, Morgan's history review goes into her own morning start, her own personal studies. And she rereads the parts of the book that she wants. She is learning to highlight interesting parts of the book and also review the quiz. I don't pop the quiz on her at the end and say, oh, I guess you got that one wrong because you didn't study it. I don't care if she knows what the quiz is. I think that I have noticed that she remembers, especially the spelling of interesting or awkwardly spelled words because they're international, especially that helps her with her history review. So she has the quiz and I print it out every day and she reviews it and answers the questions. And then she finishes the quiz either in the afternoon. Sometimes she's been doing it in the afternoon on Thursday just to get it done. And other times she does it here. This has helped her remember her history really, really well. And then here we have 2 days of the Well-Trained Mind grammar that we've recently put a pause on. We both like this. This maybe each one takes 20 minutes and then we're done. We're done for the day. The classics and the read alouds, the narration and comprehension is before bedtime. So Morgan has the rest of her afternoon to do whatever it is she wants to do. And then we pick back up with school that certainly doesn't feel like school. She gets ready for bed, brushes her teeth, and then I read aloud to her, and sometimes for like over an hour or, until she tells me that she's really sleepy. And we'll pause and we'll talk about the book as I'm reading it. She's got questions. I'll ask her questions. This has worked so well that I really want to continue this for as long as Morgan will let me read to her at night before she goes to bed. And her memory recall has been exceptional. And what I might do is have some sort of, in the 5th grade, some kind of narration exercise the next day. But I'm not sure that that's necessary. We do so much other stuff and other reading and writing and comprehension that I just don't know that that's a requirement right here for now. A lot of this is very similar, you'll see, but I've added creative writing and I had to add this in. I needed to get kind of creative with creative writing because this was planned for the 5th grade and Morgan took the book and just started doing it. So now we have creative writing available for her here, and creative writing is a really great time for her to do it here because we've pushed pretty hard by Thursday afternoon that we find that art and personal projects are NPE and creative writing are really, really, really effective right here because there's a lot of learning going on, but it doesn't feel as structured as some of the other things. For the most part, from the time we get here, and then when does she have her tutor? So if she had her tutor here, we usually, I get an email from her teacher within about 20 minutes after the end of class of her homework. And so we will then here make sure that we do her homework and review her homework. And by saying we do her homework, I don't do the homework. I hate doing that. I really, really want Morgan to figure things out on her own, but we will discuss it and I will teach. So I can teach the French if there are any holes or any misunderstandings or any questions that she didn't ask that now she realizes she does have. And she doesn't have the opportunity until the next time to talk to her teacher to get those answered. So I can help her here. So by the time we get to around here, this is pretty much roughly jam-packed and busy. And then we have sort of a lighter feel. I'm not sure why it feels lighter because she really works really hard through here, but it's a different tone. Working with the arts, working with your creativity is just so free-flowing that it just doesn't feel like work. When Morgan does her creative writing, it absolutely doesn't feel like work. But I will tell you, this is shocking. And I'm so glad that I bought the book in advance, and I'm so glad that Morgan found it and picked it up because her creative writing is really, really good. And I feel bad that I'm the mom who has to say, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming. I'm seeing structure in her writing. I'm seeing full, perfect paragraphs, also a plot woven through. This is just not kid writing here that we're doing. And I don't know where it came from. Probably from all of the books that we've been reading and all of the conversations that we just have throughout our lives. But it's really coming out in her creative writing. And I want to make sure that I leave that available, those times available for Morgan to do, and hopefully do them on her own in the 5th grade. Then Friday morning is very, very light in comparison. but it is no less robust. So we still do our walk, and then we drop everything except Morgan's journaling, because we do daily journaling, both of us, even through the weekend. We have a 5-year journal that we keep up, and it's really neat. We're excited to get to the point now where we started it in July. We're excited to get to the point in our book where we can look back the same day the year before and read what we did on that day. So we'll be there on the 31st of July. And then the poetry recital, but we're not doing that anymore. What we're doing now is poetry retrieval. So Morgan I'll just say the name of a poem, and she will repeat the name of the poem with the name of the author, recite the poem, and then I'll give her another one. And it's just really fun. It's almost like it's a game, really, to do that. And by now she's finished her quiz. Her math is usually shorter. It used to be when we were doing beta, she was doing 7 or 8 pages a day. When we were doing gamma, it was 4 or 5 pages a day. And then we've dropped the last few chapters, or the last few lessons, we've dropped to 2 pages a day. And so she might do 1 or 2 here, but certainly no more. And then her duo, if she wants, it's whatever. It's a lesson. If the lesson takes 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. If it's 15, it's fine. And then a real quick revision for Monday, if we have the French tutor on Monday. Yeah, I guess I did have tutor here and tutor there. Okay, and then this is a really big deal. I've got my little notes here on the side, but this conversation, the cafe and conversation, is really important. And it's no less important than math. It's no less important than spelling. To me, it's no less important than literature. But this is active listening on my part. And so everything I do with Morgan that afternoon, when we go swimming and when we go hiking, when we go to the library, we find a cafe, we sit at a cafe and have a latte together. And this is all face-to-face, no phone, which I don't anyway, conversation where I'm looking at her, I'm responding to her, I'm asking her open-ended questions. I'm really spending quality time with my kid. I make a real point of, if we go out, I'm paying attention to Morgan. And so with this, if we don't get to a certain part in Math UC, it doesn't matter. And if she's burnt out and she just looks at me like, I think I'm done, we're done. We're finished. We will not do math the rest of that day. We'll take a little pause and then we'll come at something else. And if we're having a hard time, which is rare, I mean, out of the multiple dozens and dozens of days, it maybe have 4 days where Morgan's just completely beat or something, and maybe we'll completely revamp the day. And in that case, when I do, I make sure to revamp this day. So if it's in here and we didn't do it, then I need to erase it, because this is sort of like my version of a sailor's log. Is everything in here is what we actually did, not what we intended to do. So that's why the kind of the erasable pens are really important here, because you'll see that, let's see, that was right to pen pals. We didn't do that. We did subtraction and addition instead. So I like to alter that and make sure that it's accurate. Now, next year, oh, this is no science. So with science is we try to push PE. We do PE every day. And we try to push PE somewhere else, because until we had let me see, make sure you can read that. Until we had a tutor, we didn't have to worry about this, but we just dumped everything in the afternoon. We dumped all of history and all of grammar, everything. And all we did was science in the afternoon. And we could do it for a couple of hours easily. And so we were able to do 2 chapters a day. And we would do, let's see, sometimes we would do a chapter here, but for the most part, we did 2 chapters a day, Monday through Thursday. And then, so we could do an entire The Good and the Beautiful science unit in 2 weeks and be done. And I would say that worked really well, because we got really into the science. We could really spend a lot of time, and sometimes we go out and we do experiments, and that has been really fun for us. So for the most part, that's what happens when we have a science or a unit study. And that's also the reason why we didn't finish history. We could have easily finished the Story of the World Volume 1, but when we would pause to do, for instance, health and etiquette, was a unit study, and space and geology, and now North Dakota studies, we paused the Well-Trained Mind story of the world. So to me, that's okay. It doesn't mean that we didn't finish our curriculum. It means we're getting there. I mean, history never ends. There's a lot of it, and if we take a pause, that's okay. It's always going to be there. There's always more. And so we will just pick that up and continue on. And we do love Story of the World. We really like that. But I also realize this may seem very busy. I don't know, you probably all have your version of super busy as well. If I were to look at your schedule, it would probably blow my mind and I would say, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do all that. And so it's just the way we like to visualize it. But because we don't really need this anymore, we are going to move to something where Morgan, because she continues to ask for more autonomy and she continues to show that she does really well with it. What I have done is taken many of the subjects that we do along here and pushed them into what used to be her morning start, where she did it all by herself, and pushed them up to this is all of hers. So I don't care when she does them, but I just put how many times she might want to do them. And so our walk would be still 5 times a week. Journaling would be 5 times. Spelling 2. Grammar we're going to drop to 1, and I'm going to see about that. Maybe it'll be 2, but for now, we've done so much grammar that I feel like once a week is pretty good maintenance, at least for a year. And then maybe we want to pick it up again and kind of push and do a lot more diagram. We do like to diagram though. We may actually pull diagramming out separately from grammar and have like on Friday do some kind of diagramming, I don't know, board game or something. That would be really fun to do because we like to do it. And it's a good exercise. And then poetry. Poetry is going to be different next year. And here's why. It has always been, I haven't studied poetry with Morgan. I haven't taught poetry to Morgan. She's just been reading it. She hears me recite it. She sees me read it, and she's been memorizing it. But now I feel like a better use of her time, other than poetry memorization, just to memorize poetry, and that in itself is important because it develops a deep appreciation for poetry that you wouldn't otherwise get without memorization. But here is where I would prefer to move towards the understanding of poetry, reading more poetry, and if something really speaks to her, then she can pick that and memorize it. But otherwise, I want her to write poetry. I need to develop this, or not develop it. Morgan wants to develop it, and I need to allow her the room to do that. This is becoming a lost art, and I'm sad for that. History review. So this is, if you look down here, instead of where I do the classics, read aloud, narration, comprehension, in the evening, the first Monday evening will be Story of the World Volume 2, or Volume 1 if we're not finished with it yet. And we'll discuss it and we'll chat about it and highlight portions. And then the rest of the week will be here where Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Morgan can do her own history review. And then on Friday, she will take the quiz. So that will drop down over here so that we have more time here in the daytime. And math is, I'll always kind of be near her, sitting near her, ready to answer any kind of question that she's got if she's stumped or can't do something on her own. But for the most part, she's showing me that she wants to grab the pages and she wants to do the pages. She does like it if I suggest the page, not the number of pages that she does, but which pages. So we do have it is a discussion that I think is really worth having so that Morgan can see what one's thought process should be when one decides what one should do. This I think is very helpful. And then from there, we pull out a few pages of math and she works on it. I think the number of pages will go down because we're really starting to get into areas where she has never seen the math before. And so this is at her own pace and we will just continue to do that. Duolingo, the same. She'll do her Duolingo Monday through Thursday, and then this is the same as this. So I just put this over here. But then check off that she did it. So if she did it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and on Friday she needs one extra, then she can do a Duolingo on Friday. And then her French prep. This is important. This is becoming increasingly important because we now she's in the Well-Trained Mind online with a teacher in a class French 1B. She was going to go into 1A, but it looks like she should be in 1B. And so she will have that for an hour every Tuesday and Thursday. And I think it'll be at noon or 1. I can't remember because of the time difference. I think they're East Coast and we're Central. So it's noon or 1. So from here, whatever homework she has, we'll discuss directly after. And then she'll need to do that either right after or in the beginning on her morning studies. But then coming up here is I'm considering dropping her Alliance Française tutor to once a week. And in fact, I think I may ask her if I can have the other one, because I would like to do only conversation. And I really like her. So I'm hoping that maybe if maybe I can just take one of Morgan's. But I'd like her teacher to move from, she does listening, speaking, reading, writing. I'd like her teacher to do full conversation, just conversation. And I think that would really assist while she does the Well-Trained Mind French 1B. The books that she's doing for the Well-Trained Mind are different from Alliance Française, but incredibly similar. They track the same, they even look the same. But so I think that will be okay for her, but that's a discussion I still need to have. Now, science. This is kind of a big deal. I haven't dropped this on you guys yet, but I am increasingly interested in the Waldorf method of science. Very interested in it, in fact, and I would like to start with their botany next year. We do like the good and the beautiful, and we will do those unit studies that I had purchased already. But what I think I might do is begin to transition into Waldorf science and starting with botany and then going on to physics. We have a shop and we can go blow stuff up or have accidents or whatever in chemistry in that shop in a safe environment and get out of, kitchen lab and into no kidding shop lab. And if we've got the resources to do that, I very much want to do that. Now, here's where PE is a little different. PE is always going to be important. It's mandatory in North Dakota, but we're going to do it anyway, whether it's mandatory or not. But I would like the end of our day to be right here. After science, we're done in the shop. I would like PE to become really important to Morgan as a life routine, something that she always does, not because she has to, not because it's school, but because she enjoys it and it's good for her and it makes her feel good. So I want to get into that routine where we go for a jog together or we do yoga together, we go to the gym together, we go swimming together, but we make this a priority that is separate from school and now turns into something that we do in our lives. And let's see, what else is there? Oh, this is Morgan's choice. And so we have been doing swimming and library and going out on, we do hikes, whatever. We do loads of stuff. We run around on the farm and do all sorts of things. But this is now going to become a discussion that we have maybe on Monday morning or throughout sometime during the day of what do we want to do? What do you want to do with your time on Friday afternoon? How do you want to spend it? And then go from there, because the older she gets, the more she's going to need to do this on her own. This is such a great environment where she can feel super, super independent without actually being independent. In that if she screws up or makes a mistake, I am right here to help her get back on track, to walk her through it, to problem solve. I'm here I feel like I'm not here as a teacher, but I'm here as a mentor. And I will not let her fail because I wasn't paying attention. She will be successful with her schedule because I'm here to help her maneuver it if it needs maneuvering or altering. So that's 4th and 5th grade. I really like the 5th grade thing. I think it's better. Our 4th grade schedule worked great for us in 4th grade. And now that we are advancing, that we're changing, we want something not different, evolved. We want something more evolved. And I think this schedule, we'll see. I think it'll work really well. And I like the idea of Morgan being able to feel like she and actually be in control. I think that's super important to teach a kid how to have control over something and keep control over it and earn the control of it. So from my homeschool to yours, thank you and have a wonderful week. See ya.